You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Thanks so much for joining us on this beautiful Monday morning right after the Super Bowl. I'm sure a lot of you are sleepy. I sure am. Carlene, the Bragg sisters are
back.
Here. We're back, baby.
We're back.
Like we never left.
Yep.
Are you sleepy?
I'm so sleepy.
Yeah.
I stayed up to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. I
Loved
love the
it.
Super. I mean, the
was
game.
good.
I'll be quite honest.
Meh.
Can we be honest here?
We're
A
only
little-
honest in here.
A little bit.
Literally, this is the only place we can be honest. So
a little
do
bit.
it.
It was a little boring.
Yeah,
The game
I
itself
agree.
was a bit of a snooze.
Oh, it
I
was so snoozy.
I was like, okay, but the halftime show.
Oh, that bunny killed it.
Did you love it?
Loved it.
Loved every
It was
second
so
of
much. It was good energy all
It was
around.
good energy, and
Yeah.
you know what?
Funny.
The great thing about it was I love when they make it like a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he went through all those different things. It was just fun. The wedding.
It was
Yeah.
never slow or stale.
Yes.
Everything kept moving. It was like, and then Gaga came out.
Gaga
which
came
I'm a
on.
monster. I love Gaga. I screamed,
Yeah.
jumped up, like I was on
That was
Price
a
is
great
Right.
surprise
I was
for
like,
you.
Awesome.
yeah. And then
And the
Ricky
real
Martin.
wedding. I didn't know it was a real wedding. When I saw
Yeah.
it, I was like, is this real or not? And then it was.
And then it was.
Yeah.
They invited Bad Bunny to their wedding, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna one up you.
Yeah.
Come get married at the Super Bowl, and that's
Awesome.
It was
I didn't know
beautiful.
until right now that was
yeah.
a real
Yeah.
wedding.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
Loved it.
Majestic Storm is here with us too. I'm
Yes.
sorry I didn't introduce you.
That's
as
okay.
well.
Hi, everyone.
I'm just
Good
too excited.
morning.
So excited. You look like you had the best cozy Super Bowl experience. I wanted
was
to
cozy.
go and was it cold? Were you cold?
Not really. We were
Yeah.
in our backyard, and we love having bonfires, and we love being
Yeah,
outside. So we're
yeah.
like, let's take the TV outside,
Yeah.
have a bonfire, bring the crock pot out there, do all the things, have the dogs. It was
Yeah.
nice. We loved it.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Cute.
Yeah, it was just a really good time. I had it at my place. Brittany and Lauren came over and just watched it. And
Yeah.
Lauren is a huge Seahawk fan.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
she
So
is.
we're happy for Lauren
we're
and
happy for
Eugene.
Lauren.
We're very happy for them.
We're happy for me and
Yes.
you
Yep.
because no way can the Patriots just go there
Yeah.
and win this, especially after the Bills have been trying for years
For
and
years,
years and
and
years.
years. Sorry to Chris Mulcahy. We apologize. I'm sorry for you, but also,
Do we though?
But
Poor
also,
Chris.
I'm happy for the outcome. You know, He'll-
Yeah,
we
last
apologize,
week
though.
before I saw him on Friday, he was talking so much trash to me
I
because I
know.
was, of course, going for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
My
Yeah,
big
yeah.
family's a big Seahawks
Yeah.
family, and he was just like, there's no way, there's no way. So we were going back and forth, and today he showed up with a paper bag over his head because he was so embarrassed.
That's funny. I love
I said,
that.
listen, Chris, when I say I know what I'm talking about, maybe you'll listen next time.
Yeah. Good.
Goodness.
Okay, you know what? There's one thing I do know what you're talking about. And that is the weather.
Weather.
That is for sure. That is for sure.
What is going on?
Okay, well, you guys are going to love this.
Yeah.
High temperatures today, 40s and 50s. Tomorrow, are you ready for it? 70s.
What?
70s.
70s. We're skipping the 60s and
Oh, I
going straight to the
love
70s.
it.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm
Is
so
it a
happy
tease?
Majestic's here.
Oh, like, I don't think it's going to stick around
Sure.
for,
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
you know,
February.
we'll take what we can get.
I love that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love
I'll
that
take
for
it.
us.
My car needs a desperate, I haven't washed it yet. Have you
me
guys
neither.
washed
No,
it?
no, 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 no.
bad.
Like, I
Steven-
really need to go today.
Yeah, Steven said that to me. He was like, babe, you really need to wash this car.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, Greg said the same. I'm like, you go wash it.
yeah, you know. You're a big boy. You can go.
Can you wash it for me?
I think we'll be in the clear. However, we do have some more rain on the way. So
Okay.
let's just dive into it. We have good news, we have news, and then, of course, Valentine's weekend forecast. So, live camera starting at Lake Norman. Still pretty nice. Today, we'll expect to see the clouds continue to clear, so some sunshine in the forecast today. Always nice to start out our new week with some nice sunshine. Little chilly out there this morning, but our temperatures by the afternoon, they're going to be warmer than yesterday. Yesterday was just a cold, cloudy day overall. Today, I think we'll see upper 40s, low 50-degree temperatures, and yes, that sunshine is returning. Tomorrow, like I already told you, sunny and 70s. I mean, widespread 70-degree temperatures. Make those plans. What do you want to do? Get the car washed, go to the golf course. Maybe you want to, I don't know, grill something on the barbecue and just have something outside. Looking ahead, though, we are looking at the return of a rainy end to our work week, and really it's into this weekend. Current temperatures right now, it's 35 degrees in Charlotte, 26 in Jefferson. So still a little chilly early this morning. Grab the jacket as you head out the door as we switch it over to our current wind chill value. So remember, this is what it just actually feels like on your skin. Just a mix of 20s and 30s, not a huge wind chill this morning. Throughout the rest of the day today, the clouds will gradually clear out. This afternoon is going to be beautiful, sunny, and temperatures rising mainly into the upper 40s here in Charlotte. Now we should be into the low to mid 50s as for this time of the year, so still a little bit below that. But again, we're going to see a big jump in those temperatures. Overall, high temperatures are mainly into the 40s from areas like Wadesboro over towards Morganton, even up in the mountains. Mild conditions could hit some low 50-degree temperatures for areas just south of us, but generally It's going to be a nice Monday. Overnight lows tonight slip down into the 20s and 30s, so a little chilly again throughout the overnight hours, of course. And then tomorrow is the day. Soak this up. It's going to be so nice. Even if you can't do anything, maybe you're busy, maybe you work from home. It's one of those days where you need to open up your curtains, open up your windows, let in that nice fresh air. We'll have 72 across Chirac, 70 here in the Queen City, and even up in the mountains. Look at us, upper 50s to low 60 degree temperatures. So pretty nice all across the board. Satellite and radar for us this morning. We're just holding on to a little bit more cloud coverage. You can see that indicated in white across the Carolinas, but it will continue to taper off with clearing conditions throughout the rest of our morning and especially into the afternoon. Light scattered rain showers for our friends to the south of us. But here's our futurecast timing out the rest of your Monday. 4 o'clock this afternoon, maybe by the time you're picking up those kids for any after school sports, or maybe you're driving home from work around this time, should be sunny and gorgeous. One of those days where you're probably still going to want to grab a layer, but keep the sunglasses handy as well. Overnight lows tonight, again, dipping down right around freezing. So tomorrow for our Tuesday, we'll be waking up to right around freezing temperatures. Here's 7 o'clock as we're sending the kids off to the school bus stop. Freezing temperatures here in Charlotte, but clear skies should be beautiful. But then Tuesday afternoon, I mean, it only gets better. Really, our expected high temperatures at the warmest part of our day, we should see mainly low 70s. And then on Wednesday, more clouds start to roll back through. A small chance for a few stray showers, but really, I think most of us wait to see the rain until this upcoming weekend. Over the next 3 days, tomorrow, mostly sunny, 70 degrees. Look at our overnight low. So waking up on Wednesday, it's already going to be 57 degrees. That's even higher than our average high for this time of the year. So it's going to be mild on Tuesday, mild as you're waking up and heading out on Wednesday morning. Wednesday will be a cloudy day, although temperatures still look great, 67 degrees. That'll feel nice. And then by Thursday, we'll start to see those temperatures start to trickle back down. Now, as far as the rain goes, I've been keeping a close eye on this system. A lot of people thought that we were going to have another winter storm system with this precipitation that's coming through, and that's just not the case because temperatures are way too warm. Now, if it was much colder, we would have more snow on the way. But with this, it seems like it's just going to be a rainy weekend at times. However, I don't think it's going to be a complete washout. Friday, small chance for a few stray showers. Saturday, much of the same, but most of the rain should wait until Saturday night and into Sunday. And if you forgot, hopefully you didn't, Valentine's Day is on Saturday, so maybe you're heading out to dinner, you want to do something fun with your person. Really, Saturday night, I think we'll start to see rain trickle into the Queen City and surrounding areas, and then Sunday is just going to be the day to cozy on up because that is going to be the rainy one. So here's our long range futurecast heading into Friday at 4 o'clock, continuing to look just fine. Then here's 4 o'clock on Saturday. So if you have plans Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, you should be fine, just very mild, a little bit more cloud coverage pushing through, but by 8, 9 o'clock, it starts to rain. So again, if you have plans for your Valentine's evening, keep the umbrella handy. You're going to want that, especially if you have plans on Sunday, whether you're heading out to church or you're heading out to brunch or something like that. Sunday is going to be the day that we are looking at rain. This is mainly going to be a rain event. We're not concerned about any severe weather or anything like that, but honestly, we need the rain. So Sunday is going to be our rainy day, taking us all the way through Sunday evening. So we're preparing you for that, but up until then, I mean, look at this. Our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast looks really nice. Partly sunny skies, upper 40 degree temperatures. We should be at 55 degrees, so just a little bit below that today. But don't worry, we're going to make up for it by tomorrow. 70 degree temperatures for Tuesday. Now that is some good news. If you need something to look forward to, I think everyone likes 70s. It's very agreeable temperatures. Wednesday, more clouds start to roll through, and then Thursday and Friday, still really not bad. It's not until Saturday night and into Sunday that we'll likely get that rain. So any weekend plans, I think for the most part, should be okay. Just keep the rain gear or umbrella handy, I would say, by Saturday night and then into Sunday. That's what we're looking at.
Wow. I mean, those temperatures look so much better than it has in a
Than
very
what we've
long
had.
time.
It's going to be so nice.
Yes. I was like saying to my parents, actually, I'm like, why did I leave upstate New York? Because I felt like it was upstate New York here for a little bit. I'm like, the snow and the ice. I'm like, yes.
And
that's
tomorrow
right.
you're going to remember why.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm really, really excited for that. Yay.
Yay.
Should be good.
I know. Thank you so much, Majestic.
you.
Of course.
Keep it right here on Live Impact News. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break, but we'll be back on WCNC Plus. Watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We are waiting, actually. We do see the slate up. And when we say slate, it's something that we watch until the meeting starts. So right now, we are waiting for North Carolina General Assembly. It is a committee in front of North Carolina House Select Committee on Oversight and Reform regarding safety concerns about Charlotte Area Transit System, which we all know as CATS. Basically, what's going on is they're going to talk about safety involving cats, and some leaders that are going to be there include Charlotte Mayor Via Lyles, Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Chief Estella Patterson, Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden, and they're going to be talking to this oversight committee just about the safety on cats. This really stemmed after the Irina Zarutska stabbing, if you can remember, a few months ago now. That did happen. So we're going to we are going to watch the slate, see what they're talking about, and then we'll listen in. But Richard Devane is kind of giving us a preview. It's starting now. Okay, great. We're going to send you right to it then, and let's take a listen in.
Most notably, incompetence in keeping the citizens of Mecklenburg County safe. That is, to be frank, completely unacceptable. I'm not going to beat around the bush. This hearing is not going to be butterflies and roses. This body is going to get to the bottom of this crisis today, no matter whose feathers get ruffled or what letters get sent. Normally, your activity or thereof, lack of, is something we could chalk up as mismanagement, incompetence. In August, Irina lost her life, brutally murdered on Charlotte's light rail. This young woman had fled war-torn Ukraine to come to America for a better life. But she didn't get that experience. She didn't get to have her dream. Her life was cut short, not by one individual, but by a system that allowed career criminals to roam your streets who had 14 arrests. A system that allowed its officials to go on reality TV shows rather than patrolling the streets. A system that put pride festivals, all while continuing to go off the fiscal cliff after a deficit after raising property taxes on its citizens. A system that prioritized DI initiatives over armed security guards on cats. Her blood is on your hands. I'm going to close this. The core function of government is not DEI, trans rights, the welfare benefits for illegal aliens, or some new social justice program. The core function is public order. safety, security. And it's the act of doing everything in your power to ensure your citizens wake up every day to feel safe. You have failed in doing that. Today, you're going to explain that to us. To address this failure, today we have from the City of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County officials. We're going to begin with Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden, County Manager Mike Bryant, District Attorney Spencer Merriweather. The attorney here? Yep, you're there. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. To make most of everyone's time, we're just going to jump into questions. I ask that you stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. You swear the testimony today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Have your seats. Members, I know there's going to be a lot of questions, so we're going to use our normal protocol. It's going to be 3 minutes per person. It's going to be timed with everybody to have the opportunity to follow up at least once in their round of questions. Mr. Merriweather, thank you for coming today. We appreciate it.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I have a procedural correct question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Will the microphones of all the members be left on and no microphones be turned off, even if the chair or anyone else doesn't like the questions that are being asked?
Mic will not be cut off for questions not liked. The microphone was cut off for somebody using up their time and not going through the proper protocol, but thank you, sir, for the questions.
So members will be given...
Representative Quick.
Thank you, sir. Members will be given the full 3 minutes.
Members will be given the full 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Now, Mr. Merriweather.
Yes, sir.
Start by thanking you for coming here and for your service to the Mecklenburg County citizens and for all that you do.
Thank you, sir.
I know that you've been dealt a tough hand. Mecklenburg County continues to face serious felony case backlogs. As district attorney, what steps are you taking to reduce that backlog, and how do you plan to accelerate the resolution of those cases going forward?
I can tell you what we have already done, sir. In the last 4 years, 4 years ago, we were at a place where there were over 400 homicides that were pending. We have reduced that by 100, even though the number of homicides has actually gone up, continued to rise significantly. We had 120 homicides that were filed just last year. Right now, we are under 300 as far as our homicide backlog. As you know, homicides are not the only cases in Charlotte that need to be tried. And so we have focused on reorganization. As a matter of fact, we've tried to hit hot spots. We've collaborated with law enforcement in particular neighborhoods to make sure that that there is a seamless connection between what the strategies of law enforcement are, what our community, both business and residential community needs, as well as what the prosecutors in our office can do for them. That's how you build good cases, and that's how you convict the guilty.
Good. Thank you for the answer, sir. As I'm sure you know, this General Assembly passed Irena's law to ensure habitual violent offenders are kept off the streets. Has that law helped your office, or do you agree with Sheriff McFadden and, quote, no good has come out of this law, no matter what anybody says, and then, quote, it was a mistake?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You'll understand that this is not the first time I've come before this General Assembly. I think the first time in a real substantive manner was with the passage of the Pretrial Integrity Act in 2023. That, as you know, created a whole class of offenses, which meant that those cases went before district court judges as opposed to just magistrates. We believe that was an improvement on the law. It also increased the likelihood that a person who committed repeat offenses or violent offenses remained in custody. We believe that Irena's law built upon the successes of the Pretrial Integrity Act. We believe that this is what the community expects from us, that if someone goes out and both commits a violent act or commits an act repeatedly, that those persons remain in custody until their trial. So that is, I believe that's a good thing. I believe, you know, in all candor, it's no surprise that there are always things that we can do. I know that this General Assembly is looking at ways to improve mental health and to try to improve the resources there. We hope to join you in that, and I speak for myself as well as my colleagues in the Conference of District Attorneys. But on whole, I believe there's some good improvements that have been made with that bill.
Thank you, sir. We've heard some concerns from law enforcement that they're rearresting many of the same violent offenders. Do you believe there's a breakdown between the arrest, charging, and detention in Mecklenburg?
I want to draw attention to the fact that there are different standards for those things. The standard for arrest is probable cause. The standard for proving the guilt of someone beyond a reasonable doubt, the highest burden in our law, is what our prosecutors have to face. Our goal in collaborating with law enforcement is to make sure that we do everything we can to build the best cases. So if there's a reason that a case fails, we go back to law enforcement. At least it's our intent to go back to law enforcement to say how it is that we can make sure that we are convicting that person, that everyone who works in criminal justice knows is guilty of it. But maybe on that occasion weren't able to prove it. The other thing that I'll say is I don't think the members of our community want necessarily to wait on being able to meet the high burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt before an officer makes an arrest on a case. It very well may be that, look, I need that person off my block. I know that you guys are still waiting to build reasonable doubt evidence, but we don't have it right now, but you do have probable cause and make that arrest. It's the reason why I've tried to make a distinction, and I know that our police executives have also tried to make a distinction between probable cause and between that reasonable doubt burden. Officers have a job to do, prosecutors have a job to do, and we all have to do that on behalf of the public.
In your opinion, is there something that the General Assembly could do to help you with this?
I do believe that when someone is arrested for repeat offenses, you want to make sure you make them count. I think one of the deficiencies for a community like ours as we continue to grow is that a lot of the quality of life offenses, there's not a lot of teeth in a lot of those offenses. You know, it very well may be that when someone, throws a rock through a window, someone is seen tampering with a car, that maybe somebody sees that one incident as being minor. But by the time a resident in a community knows that that person is a cancer on that community, we ought to make sure that we've got the teeth to deal with it. The structure of a prosecutor's job entails discretion, and we do the best that we can to try to make sure that when we are using the teeth that the General Assembly gives us, that we're using it for people who are really a problem, and for those that aren't necessarily, we don't use those teeth. But every time that we can have an opportunity to have a piece of legislation with more weight, with more teeth, it certainly helps us in exercising that discretion.
Well, as leader of this House, I want to let you know that I have an open door for you. I would love to sit down with you, and I see several of your colleagues out here that come by quite often, but I would invite you to my office. Thank you, sir. And as a short session comes around, to work together collaboratively to see what we can do to put some more teeth in there. And I thank you for what you're doing. Recognizing Representative Sheetzelt this time for a question. Representative Sheetzelt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Merriweather, for being here this morning. I've just got a few questions, kind of follow up and build on what the chair was asking here. We've had some challenges this year with, we've had some high-profile homicides in the state of North Carolina where the individual who allegedly perpetrated the homicide has been a repeat offender and likely should have been kept behind jail, but for some reason was not. Here in Raleigh, there was a beloved teacher at Ravenscroft, Zoe Welsh, who was killed by a man who had previously faced 4 felony charges, was allowed to plead down to a misdemeanor, and instead of being in jail for years, he was back on the street in a matter of months. How does this happen, I guess, is the first question.
To answer that question, cases are all built on the evidence that you have to be able to prove them. Without digging into the individual file of a particular case, I can't tell you whether those witnesses that were necessary to make that case were there. And that is the reason that often can mitigate what the final result is in a crime that's committed. Quite frankly, one of the most painful things for me is when we, like I say, we know that a person is actually guilty of a crime, but then you realize that the evidence in that case falls apart from the unavailability of witnesses, and that's just kind of what it is. What you want to make sure that you do is you've got all your ducks in a row so that you can go after someone who's creating a real problem for your community. It is necessary for me to say that one of the things that we've seen is a whole host of folks who are suffering from mental health concerns, and that's something we got to deal with. You don't have to say that you are somehow not punishing people who are hurting people. You can do that. My goal has always been to make sure that if we've got mental health challenges, start addressing them when you're talking about the small stuff before it actually graduates into the kind of thing that, quite frankly, can permanently damage a family and a neighborhood.
And in the wake of the...
You're recognized for a follow-up.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. In the wake of the light rail murder of Irina Zarutska last year, have there been any changes in policies in Mecklenburg County, Charlotte-Mecklenburg County, to try to keep people like DeCarlos Brown off of the street, or, again, any of these other perpetrators like we had here in Raleigh?
There's no question that when you have issues of public safety and certainly repeat offenders and the like, that it captures the attention of the public. What captures the attention of the public captures the attention of the people who work in our court system, and certainly in the district attorney's office. We are the bridge, the direct bridge between the people and the court system. Unlike every other sector within our court system, we're the folks that have to answer directly to folks. So certainly there's a level of vigilance that goes up. But what I can say is that I'm proud of the efforts of my office and being able to, having had collaborated with both in our center city as well as on its outskirts, as well as our business community also, and certainly specific divisions of law enforcement to try to make sure that we are going after points of emphasis. In all candor, I've turned over documents to this committee to talk about some of the ways that we've had to be creative in addressing low-level drug offenses. We do that so that we can prioritize those target neighborhoods and those target areas. You will find that in our center city and in some other hot areas within our community that, we are seeing more cases that we are proceeding on as far as drug cases, and that includes simple possession cases, because we know that if left to its own devices, that can really spin out of control. That's the way that you have healthy interdiction on the communities, and that's the way you can stop folks who intend you harm.
And time for one more question, Mr. Chair.
You're recognized for another question.
This is related again to the chair's question earlier about what the General Assembly can do. How can we specifically assist in terms of pleading practices in order to give law enforcement the tools that they need to keep dangerous people out of the community?
I'm going to use your question as an opportunity to sort of broaden the perspective and talk a little bit about the differences between the community I serve and what we're used to in this state. We're the 14th largest city in America is in my district. Most of the cities of that size across this country have a sort of a felony prosecutor, and then they have a local municipal prosecutor. The focus of the local municipal prosecutor is able to, and also serves in municipal courts, is able to focus on that quality of life stuff, on the traffic stuff, while the other felony prosecutors or the county prosecutors are focusing on felonies, violent crimes, and drug trafficking and the like. We don't have that. We're not built for that. I do think that it is at some point, maybe that's a 10, 15-year question that we've got to answer. But right now, we're not built for the kind of community that we have in Charlotte and Mecklenburg County, a community of 1.2 million people. And I know that that's also true in Wake County. The population density, the disparity in poverty, all of the challenges, quite frankly, the fact that our population swells to almost 2 million between the hours of 8:30 and 5:30, those are real challenges that hit us in a different way. Every single person, nobody comes to the DA's office to dismiss cases. They come because they actually want to uphold public safety. But I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that it's a heavy burden for our folks, from everything from first-degree murder all the way down to someone actually to public defecation on city streets. And being able to try to balance all of the things in between is something that's extremely significant and hits those folks in cities and in urban communities far different than it does in other places in our state.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, I forgot to tell you, for your viewing pleasure, you were expecting Representative Warren. He is out with an ear infection, and that's why I'm chairing today. Just so don't mistake me for the gray-headed gentleman from Rowan. Representative Ager, you are recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you both for coming. I really just kind of want to get into the specifics a little bit of the DA's office and how you guys are set up, just so that I understand it. I mean, how many assistant district attorneys do we have currently in your office?
We have 86 now. And that's because of the improvements that were made in Irena's law through this General Assembly, which added 10 full-time employees to my office, actually 15, but 10 prosecutors to my office. We have about 4 that are slated to join our office before the end of March, and we're still recruiting for those other 6.
Great. And
Can I?
oh, sorry, one follow-up. Yep. Just how many of those are fully funded by the General Assembly? Are those all funded by the General Assembly and none by the?
72 of the 95 slots are funded by the General Assembly. I will note that when I say fully funded, we're talking about a total of $101,299 is the average salary allotment for those positions. The average salary allotment for the other positions, which we're at that point talking about 24 positions funded by the city and the county, or an average salary of $64,000. It is rare for a city and a county to fund that. That was a decision that was made well before my administration, in part because they know what I'm about to tell you, that for a community our size, you really ought to be talking about 12.5 prosecutors for every 100,000 people that you have. Even though 95 prosecutors sounds like a lot, you can do that math. We're talking about 50 short of what you would kind of expect for a community with our complexity and size.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for attending this hearing, Mr. Merriweather.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. This is in keeping with what Representative Agar just asked you too. What specific delays in charging, trial scheduling, and case resolution you think have resulted from underfunding of prosecutors, of court staff in Mecklenburg County? Can you give some indication where that falls?
I can, and well, obviously, the person that makes a charging decision 99 times out of 100 is going to be law enforcement. We are a different sort of state in that regard. There are places where the prosecutor sort of leads charging. We are a police filing state in North Carolina, which means that police have the ultimate decision as to what they bring to the magistrate's office and what sort of arrest they make. With that said, we do have our limitations in the prosecutor's office, but you asked a question about court staff. Part of the reason why we're not able to tackle our violent crime and homicide backlog as quickly as I would like is because it's very difficult to calendar cases in Mecklenburg County and across our state. We have the benefit of having a public defender's office in Mecklenburg County. If 4 people rob a house, the public defender's office can represent 1 of them. The other 3, if they are indigent, meaning if they don't have money to afford their representation, have to be represented by attorneys that have been drawn from an indigent services list. For violent crimes in Mecklenburg County, there are 8 people to do that. So if you start to stretch that out over time and hope to God you don't have conflicts that arise in other ways, that means that it is very limited the number of people that you can actually.
So if you're just joining us, you're listening in to the North Carolina House Select Committee on Oversight and Reform over safety concerns for cats. This is basically kind of after Irina Zarutska and everything happened on the light rail. That House Select Committee is asking them questions about safety on cats. You're hearing from the Mecklenburg County DA, which is Spencer Merriweather. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll head right back to this after the break. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Right now, we're going to head over to, in Raleigh, I should say, to the North Carolina General Assembly. They're talking about cats right now and kind of the leadership behind it and safety concerns. So there is a committee right now asking Mecklenburg County leaders. Let's take a listen in.
That are out continuously violating the law.
The recidivism rate, as I understand it and I don't have specific facts on this, but the recidivism rate for juvenile offenders, I believe is trending slightly down, but the seriousness that we are seeing for the people who are recommitting remains high. And I don't think there's a single person who works in the space of juvenile justice or works in our courts that would tell you otherwise. The number of times that we are seeing people, I'm not talking about under the age of 16, I'm talking about under the age of 14, who are picking up a gun and doing harm, that quite frankly, we have to make sure that we are appealing to our judicial officials to understand, we know you want to treat this person like a kid, but please don't forget about these other kids, that they are entitled to a level of protection as well. It is true that we don't want we don't want our judicial officials to have to make a decision on anything other than the safety of the community, as opposed to the availability of either space or a sufficient detention facility. That's why there is certainly a conversation about that within our district. I know that there are many resource challenges that have to be dealt with by folks who are far more qualified than me to speak on that, as far as the budget stuff is concerned anyway.
Follow up, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Do you know if every court now is operating in-person court in Mecklenburg County? Every court that's supposed to be functioning, are they all functioning in person now?
I know that every criminal court, because those are the ones where me and my people are responding to. I cannot speak with regard to civil.
Can somebody get that for me and get it back to me? Thank you. The last follow-up, Mr. Chair.
You're recognized.
So it sounds like that resources, we're tight for resources. And for me, we spend $3 billion in the state of North Carolina on other individuals when we have a homeless population in Mecklenburg County, and we have a mental health crisis that's been going on for not just 10 years, 20 years, 30 years now. So what resource would you ask for that we could help you with in the next session?
I want to think broadly, probably a little bit more broadly than what would be a part of an official policy ask. We have had issues with people who are homeless and unhoused in our community. I went over to South Carolina with a delegation of folks where they have what's referred to as a homeless court. And what they are able to do within their municipal court, this is Rock Hill, by the way, what they're able to do in their municipal court is to say, look, we know you're going to be held in custody for 30 days on this particular low-level misdemeanor charge, or it's going to have significant fines to it. Now, these 13 service providers, they're willing to help you, but otherwise, you got to stay where you are, or you're going to have to pay this money. Now, the backlog in their system is not nearly what we have in our county or even within our state. But the design of that localized system gives them the possibility of being able to leverage things that gets people the care that they need. We have not figured out a way to do that within our system. And I don't know whether that's going to require more flexibility created within our courts or what. But if I could wrap my brain around that, if I could again, have the kind of partners that Chair Jones spoke of earlier, I think that's worth our time. I will always have, certainly with our prosecutor need being what it is, with other court positions needed within our system, I'll always have that question, and so I'll be asking that from year to year. But with the specific issues that I think are the focus of this committee right now, the kind of flexibility to deal with the increasing mental health and homelessness problem, connecting people to resources early before we have the kind of tragedies that we had last year.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Quick, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Meriwether and Chair, for being here this afternoon. I represent Greensboro, North Carolina, a part of Greensboro, rather, which is 1/3 the size of Charlotte, Mecklenburg, North Carolina. And unfortunately, across this state, murders happen. And some of them become high profile because of the media attention. And while you all are sitting here today, please know that there are high-profile murders that have happened in Greensboro, which has 300,000, in Kannapolis, where my friend here to my left sits, in Asheville, which my friend to the right sits, and even in Tabor City, which has a population of 5,000, which Chair Jones represents. There have been high-profile murders that media has brought attention to. So thank you for being here today and knowing that you are answering questions that all of us could have, all of our communities here, and have questions for the way those communities operate. When I speak with my DA in Greensboro, Guilford County, she speaks of the fact that funding from the state is definitely an issue, and from the fact that sometimes local resources have to be used because funding gaps exist from the state. Is that the same case in Charlotte-Mecklenburg, and how much does Charlotte-Mecklenburg have to spend to make up for funding gaps that the state should be covering?
And I always sort of confuse the numbers on this, but I think we're talking about $8 million from Mecklenburg County. Again, as I said in my answer to the opening question, there are 24 prosecutor positions and probably about 25 victim witness legal assistant positions that are funded by our municipal governments. Like I said, it is rare for that to happen across our state, but an increasing number of districts are doing exactly that. It differs a little from what goes on in other jurisdictions across the country. There are many places where there is a blended funding model for sort of high population areas. I know Nashville-Davidson has something of that sort. I believe Atlanta and some of its surrounding areas have a model of that sort. I think there's some constitutional or at least statutory issues here with that. For good reason at the formation of our state, or the last time that anyone looked at sort of a broad sweep of what our court system looks like, we opted not to do that. Our state looks, and I don't want to make our folks from the Conference of DAs nervous, but our state looks tremendously different than it did then, and I'm not asking for that change necessarily, but there are some built-in complexities that we have now that we did not have in the 60s the last time anybody looked at this.
Thank you. Follow up, Mr. Chair.
You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, sir. I used to live in Charlotte. It's a long time ago.
You can come back, sir.
No. My point.
I need a pastor.
Part of my point is that the Charlotte I left in 1996. In fact, when I lived in Charlotte, the year I left, you just were awarded the Carolina Panthers. So that tells you how long that's been. When I go back now, it's not the same place. It's absolutely not the same place. The growth in Charlotte is astronomical and in a lot of ways mind-blowing. However, the funding formula from the state does not appear to be modernized so that you can do what you need to do. How would you suggest that the funding formula from the General Assembly change so that you can more effectively do your job?
I don't think that there's any question that certainly takes more revenue to fund a community of our size. Now, how you get there is something that I think all of you fine folks can sort of figure out. There's some folks that believe that there could be changes in how that revenue is created. There's some people that think that if you spur economic growth in the right way, that revenue will come. That's a debate I think that it's appropriate for you to have. But I do think we are changing, and we do have to do things to keep up with that. It's important for me to say I'm not from this state. I moved here. I moved to North Carolina in 2002.
You're doing good, sir, to interpret this lingo we have.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I moved to Charlotte in 2007. I decided to make it my home because, man, it just seemed like the kind of place where a young person could make their mark. It was growing. I know that there are people all over your communities that have felt that same way. That is my interest in making sure that it is safe. I don't believe that just because you move to a city that you have to abandon what your standards are as far as what a safe and vibrant community is. But it's also true that you do have to resource that. You have to fund it, and you've got to structure it. I believe that all of our people across this state are entitled to that level of safety and that level of accountability in our justice system. I'm not perfect. I will screw up. And I want my screw-ups to be about me and not necessarily about the deficiencies in our system. And right now, I'm not, I believe that our system has a whole lot of stuff to do even before you get to me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Sylvania.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to ask the DA a series of questions.
You are recognized for a series of questions, 3 minutes per question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. What I've noticed is that you're very humble, actually, about what accomplishments you have, but we really need to piece it out, bring it to the table, and also, more likely than not, it needs to be a partnership with us here at the General Assembly to continue funding those things. So my question is for you, is I want to understand the programs that you've actually implemented, particularly into improving our situation in your office and in the safety, public safety of Charlotte and Mecklenburg, particularly the strategies surrounding violent crime prioritization, diversion, and reducing system drivers for recidivism and backlog. I know you talked about backlog earlier, but your office have done things in specific. So I want you to describe those things, and also, again, to ask what we can do here at the General Assembly to expand that so that we can have a safer Mecklenburg. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. First, I'll say this. As soon as I took office, I reorganized our office from a system where we were focusing on drug cases, property cases, what we called at that point crimes against persons cases. And we broke that open, and we recognized that there is a difference between the sort of crime that puts a chill on a neighborhood. We're talking armed robberies, we're talking aggravated assaults and shootings, from, for instance, what was my specialty and remains my specialty, sex assault cases and felony domestic violence cases. And so we sort of split that out and created units that could focus.
You are watching the North Carolina House Select Committee on Oversight and Reform. This is regarding safety concerns surrounding the Charlotte area transit system. As you are watching, you can see that lawmakers are asking different questions. Mecklenburg County DA Spencer Merriweather has been answering a lot of questions so far. So our Julie Kay is actually in Raleigh, and she's going to be giving us updates throughout the day. She's in that room listening. So we will send it to her a few times later today, but we're going to take a quick break right here on Live Impact News, but keep it here. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. If you're just joining us, hey, thank you so much for joining us here. We have a great time giving you news and updates on weather and traffic and all of the above. So right now we have been listening in on the Charlotte Mecklenburg leaders. They are testifying right now this morning before the North Carolina House Select Committee on Oversight and Reform. They're talking about the Charlotte area transit system, answering some questions. So let's take a listen in.
My colleague, Representative Cunningham, had asked about juvenile recidivism, and I did a quick, and it said it has lowered. I actually had a question on your general recidivism. Do you know offhand, although I do know on here, has that lowered? And what have you assessed that to being the improvements of that recidivism?
In all candor, I don't know off the top of my head as far as what the stats are. If those stats are coming from our court system, I would approach them with some level of hesitancy, only because you can sort of get lost in how cases are categorized. That can impact the stats, which is one of the reasons why I don't commit that stuff to memory. I do think that much in the same way that I answered the question from Representative Cunningham, what we see from repeat offenders has gotten more serious. And no matter what happens, and no matter what the recidivism rate is, when someone comes into our system and someone comes into my office having been victimized by crime, they don't care what the recidivism rate is. They just want to make sure that the person who did them harm is held to account. They don't care what the standard of proof was in the case that may have gotten dismissed before. They do want to know why it is that nothing happened in that case previously. Now, I can tell them in a way that I probably can't tell you, quite frankly, all the reasons that that previous case may have failed, evidentiary speaking, but folks are coming in our office hurt and impacted, just like their families are impacted by violent crime. Thank you.
Any further questions? Well, Dean Meriwether, thank you for being here. First time you and I have met.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate your candidness about things you need, things that went wrong, things that you're working on. I know I'm speaking for myself, and I think the entire body, that we look forward to helping you get your hometown in a good spot. We want it to be one of the safest cities in North Carolina, and I think you are committed, hearing everything you're saying, to do that. And understand that we're committed to help you. And again, thank you for your testimony here today. And
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, that information that I requested, will you all provide that, please? Thank you.
I will, Representative Cunningham. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You. All good. All hearts and minds clear.
And thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate
you.
Thank
you.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to move on. All right. Sheriff McFadden. We're going to go ahead and start with the elephant in the room. A formal petition was filed against you alleging, amongst many things, poor jail conditions, a terrible work culture, riddled with retaliation, racial slurs, and bias, the misuse of public resources, and the severe allegation of extortion. I'd like to ask you a series of questions, and if your department's run properly, these should be really easy to go through. First question I'd like to ask, did you ever order, approve, or have knowledge of on-duty deputies transporting individuals to bars and strip clubs, yes or no?
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me here today, and I'm honored to be here and would love to answer questions coming from this body. But I cannot answer certain questions to this petition. We all know that this petition was filed by a member of this committee, Representative Cunningham, and others who once worked for my agency. Because of that petition being dismissed, and also because of that petition is now under the investigation of the State Bureau of Investigation, ordered by the District Attorney's Office, I must respect the process, and I must respect the order by District Attorney Spencer Meriwether, but I also have to respect the process of the State Bureau of Investigation to give a fair process, and I do respect that process. So I cannot answer any questions that pertain to that petition at this time.
Fair enough. hypothetically, does pulling on-duty deputies off the street to chauffeur individuals to bars and strip clubs, would that make Mecklenburg safer?
Again,
It's a hypothetical. It's not asking you directly anything with your agent. It's hypothetically as sheriff.
again, that is in the content of the petition that I just stated that I cannot answer question to, even hypothetically.
I'll let the record reflect the gentleman refuses to answer.
Let me state this, please. I did not refuse to answer your questions. I'm simply stating that this has become a legal matter, a litigation matter, a State Bureau of Investigation matter, and I must respect the process. Having been a homicide detective for 22 years and respecting the process, this could have been done before this happened. I would have been glad to come and answer questions and talk about what goes on in Mecklenburg County before the petition was filed. The petition was filed, it was dismissed, and as I said, the State Bureau of Investigation, I'm giving them the respect and honor that they duly should have. So let me make it clear for the record. I am not refusing to answer questions. I'm just simply telling you I am wanting to allow this process to be fair to the state of North Carolina, even to your committee chair, Ms. Cunningham, but also fair to the State Bureau of Investigation and also the district attorney. So again, let me be clear and blunt. I am not refusing to answer the questions.
But you are unwilling to answer whether or not pulling deputies from the streets to drive guests to bars and strip clubs make Mecklenburg safer.
Again, to be clear.
So you're unwilling. Okay. All right. I'm going to
Excuse me, I wouldn't say it's unwilling. Let me make sure we don't put words. It's not that I'm unwilling. Again, let's be clear. If this happened before and your office invited me, as you invited Mr. Meriwether, and have an open door policy, I would have been glad to answer those questions without a petition and without this now being a legal litigation matter.
Obvious answer is no. Okay, I'm just going to ask you point blank, have you ever threatened to physically extort a sitting member of this body?
I will refer to my statement.
Are you calling Representative Cunningham a liar then?
Again, we'll refer to my statement.
Representative Cunningham, I will yield to you at this time if you would like to ask a question of the sheriff.
Mr. Chair, I have no questions of the sheriff since it is still in litigation, as well as the SBI investigation continues at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No problem. Sheriff, I would like to talk to you about your recent comments on Renia's Law. In your most recent sheriff debate, you called the law, quote, a mistake, and that it, in quote, has done no good. Do you still stand by those statements today?
In answering that question, I do stand by my statement, and I believe that you're taking a soundbite from a debate that I was debating with another person talking about the jail, the conditions, and everything else. So I do stand by my statement because it particularly pertains to the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office. So it was taken out of content or being taken out of content as a soundbite.
Okay. Do you think that taking repeat violent offenders off the street of Mecklenburg is a mistake, yes or no?
No. I've done that for 22 years as a homicide detective. I've done that for 40 years as a law enforcement. That part of my job is never a mistake.
Do you feel like you should have been consulted when we write bills?
Absolutely. I think that it is a fair thing because I think a lot of bills are being written without our input. Of course you would invite Mr. Eddie Caldwell, who is a great leader of our organization. I respect him fully. He takes us to a school, we go to the school, and we learn a lot. I think it is only fair that before you create a bill, you have the input of the person who is going to be directly affected by the bill, since as Irina's law. So when we're talking about the content that was taken out of place, it did no good. Simply saying, Sheriff, how would this affect you? and your staff at the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, is there anything that we could do for you to help you make sure that it is not impeding the safety and security of my staff and the citizens of Mecklenburg County? Do you need funding? How would funding help you? And if it's not only funding, what other resources could we provide for you at this time that would help you and your staff?
Okay. So Irina's law was a mistake.
Again, sir, you are taking it out of the context of listening to a debate when I was actually speaking to a gentleman seeking to be the next sheriff of Mecklenburg County, who was my chief deputy, who I believe, honestly and seriously, were undermining me while he was at the sheriff's office. So let's be clear. Taking it out of context, did it do anything for me and my staff at the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office? No.
Well, he's not here today. It's a great time to go on record. Do you think the bill's a mistake, yes or no?
Again,
Just a yes or no.
Again, my statement is I would love for you and others to open the door for me also to have that conversation and have my input before a bill is addressed.
So no?
Again, that is my statement.
Not my fault. Let's move on to ICE. I'm gonna yield right now to Representative Sheetselt. Representative Sheetselt, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sheriff McFadden, thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you so much.
There was a long discussion with the district attorney, Mr. Merriweather, just a moment ago about funding and funding needs. And in fact, in the question about Irina's law, you just mentioned funding as one consideration. Are there concerns regarding funding in your department?
Absolutely.
Sheriff, do you know who Sarah Kirby is?
Not right offhand.
So if I represent to you that Sarah Kirby is a management analyst in the sheriff's office,
okay,
would you have any reason to dispute that?
No.
Sheriff, in an email in 2020 from Ms. Kirby, she did a review of the grants received by your office and found that you're not eligible for a number of current federal and state grants because of your policies, several policies, but specifically those about notifying ICE about releases. Were you made aware of that analysis and that conclusion?
No.
Did you ever direct your team to change those policies so Mecklenburg County could qualify for that funding?
Not to my knowledge.
Who would be responsible for knowing about that information and communicating that up the chain of command?
Her chain of command.
Her chain of command. And who ultimately, is there nobody that reports to the sheriff on grant opportunities in your office?
To report to the sheriff?
If you're responsible for decision making, I mean, I'm from the military, okay? We have a chain of command, and ultimately there is somebody where the buck stops
Sure.
at the top of the chain. I'm assuming, again, with my military background, the stars on your shoulders let me know that's probably you, and your title as the sheriff means that you are responsible for the sheriff's office. Who is responsible for communicating those decisions up the chain of command, and how high should those decisions go?
The person who receives that information should also send it up to the chain of command. But coming from the military, we all know there is a chain of command, but oftentimes the person in the last link of that chain is often left out.
Sheriff, if you were made aware that your office is not eligible for certain funding grants because of your policies against notifying ICE about releases and notifying ICE about detention, would you change your office's policies as a result?
Well, let me clarify that. I think that we all know this has been a political battle. We have never not notified ICE about someone coming to our detention center. Simply, that is a political play, a political move. We have always followed the law in notifying ICE. It is up to them what they do after that notification. So we all know that the rhetoric was, if you didn't do certain things, because of immigration, you will not get certain fundings. We all know that. That was part of the political ploy that they had instructed. And so we have always followed the law when it becomes immigration and ICE. That is clear. We've always followed the law. We've always notified ICE. It's up to them to do what they need to do after that.
Sheriff, I believe you're responding to something I didn't necessarily ask, so I want to clarify what this email says and then re-ask the question. We're not talking about specifically what the law requires. We can set that aside for a second. What I'm asking is if you knew about policies that needed to be adopted in order to be eligible for grant funding, whether you would change those policies. So let me read directly from the email. I also reviewed many grants that have been made available recently, both federal and state, but which we are not eligible for based on the MCSO policies that do not maintain compliance for certification related to, quote, interrogation of certain aliens, close quote, or, quote, notice of scheduled release, close quote. If you knew that your policies were preventing you from accessing potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in grant funding for your office, would you have changed those policies?
We follow the law. And we follow the policy.
Sheriff, let me interrupt you again because I'm afraid you're not answering the question that I am asking, which is, set aside the requirements of the law, would you change the policies if you knew your policies were blocking you from receiving grant funding?
If my policies did not follow the law, I would change that policy, but my policies have followed the law.
So your response, Sheriff, is that you will do only what you are legally required to do, but do no more to try to improve the office. Is that your response to my question?
We've always tried to improve the office. We've always tried to prove the communication. We always try to prove the understanding, as we see that that is a misunderstanding today.
So, Sheriff, your evasiveness on the question here suggests that maybe you are not willing to do everything you need to do to improve the office. Your unwillingness to answer my question beyond what the law requires suggests that maybe you are not willing to do everything that needs to be done in order to improve your office. Mr. Chair, I have no further questions or comments.
Thank you.
Sheriff, can you explain to me how Sheriff Rowe here in Wake County puts forth a good faith effort, near the same number of ICE detainers issued, managed to have a 65% ICE pickup rate while you have an absurd 16%?
Repeat the question again.
Sheriff Rowe is able to do his job correctly. He has a 65% ICE pickup rate while you have a 16%. Explain why yours is so much lower than Sheriff Rowe's right here with almost the exact same number of detainers issued.
I can't speak for Sheriff Rowe and his policies or what he's doing. Many sheriffs in North Carolina do it differently. I do it by the law.
Do you remember who authored the original ICE bill in this General Assembly?
No, I do not.
That would be me and now Speaker Hall.
Thank you.
We had conversations back then. We had 97 sheriffs doing their job. We had 3 that didn't. We've swung this around to where we've got 99 doing it and 1 not. I don't see anyone else here today. You're both under exact statutes in the same circumstances. I want you to answer, why can he do the job and you can't?
I don't know his policies. I don't know his procedures. I can tell you this. 287G was a voluntary policy that I didn't think that was good for my county. Believe it or not, each and every sheriff is elected by their county and their residents of their county to do a job particularly for those residents and of that county. I can't speak for Sheriff Rhodes. I respect him highly, and we've talked honestly about once a week. I can't give you what he does and why he does. I can only give you what I do and why I do it.
I believe you probably didn't mean to answer that. You just said that you interpret the way you wanted to.
No, sir, I did not. That's the way that you interpret it. Let me be clear.
Well, that's not the way you've been interpreting, because
no,
it's
sir.
obvious with the news and everything, and they're having to come back and rewrite the law for one sheriff constantly, who is in the media constantly badgering the General Assembly about not doing the right thing when we send you a law and you just say, hey, I'm not doing it. Is that not correct?
Thank you, sir. If you
Is that not correct?
Let me answer the question.
Not your fault.
No.
Nothing is.
Well, a lot could be. But I would ask to be respected first, and if we want to be blunt about this, I could also be, but I don't think this is the place to do it.
Here's the air.
House Bill 10 was created by this assembly. If you didn't believe that you missed a step, then why create House Bill 318? Clearly, House Bill 10 did not address the legal transfer from a person in the Mecklenburg County Detention Center with state charges to federal charges. So not having that legal transfer was done under House Bill 10. If the Assembly did not believe that was necessary, then they should have never created House Bill 318. This is why I believe it is so important for us to be invited with this open door policy to have these decisions and help make these decisions and miss steps. When you see a step miss, it's not a loophole. It was simply clarifying that if you had indicated this in the first bill, House Bill 10, it wouldn't be necessary to do House Bill 318. I didn't ask for House Bill 318. I didn't ask for it to be changed. I simply pointed out a step that I believe that was missed. And because of that misstep, House Bill 318 was created.
So we had 99 other sheriffs that could get on the program, but you couldn't, so we had to continually figure out another way to try to force you to enforce the law. Let's move on. It's obvious that nothing's your fault and you're not going to agree. Representative Quick, I'm going to recognize you for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sheriff, welcome. Thank you for being here this afternoon. I want to go back to some questions that was asked about funding. And Representative Sheetzel pointed out some grant funding that you possibly missed because of ICE funding and federal funding for that. My question is this: should adequate funding for our county jails depend on one program or a policy that targets one population?
Absolutely not.
Second question that I have for you.
You're recognized for a follow-up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A little bit different. You have a lot of success in Mecklenburg County with reentry programs and getting inmates in school and educated so that we don't have this recidivism that's been mentioned before. Can you speak a little bit about those programs?
We have more success than any other sheriff's office in the state of North Carolina. We have been recognized more than any other sheriff's office in the state of North Carolina. We hold more programs in our detention center than any other sheriff's office in North Carolina. We have been nationally recognized for our programs at the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, so that the National Sheriff Association has created me as the chairman of what we call the IGNITE program, to go across the United States implementing programs in each and every sheriff's office who is willing, including the 99 sheriff's offices here. We are more accredited than any other sheriff's office here in North Carolina. We have what they call the Triple Crown. And if I'm not mistaken, there are only 3 other sheriff's offices in the state of North Carolina that have the Triple Crown. That Triple Crown is so rare that only out of 3,089 sheriff's offices in America receive the Triple Crown. Unfortunately, and I wish that Sheriff Rowe would come to me, and we also will get him the Triple Crown. He deserves it. I'm willing to do it. Since we were talking about Wake County, respectfully, we are the sheriff's office that you should follow when you're talking about accreditations and programs in the state of North Carolina.
Final follow-up, Mr. Chair. Thank you, sir. Do you believe that these programs that you have just talked about and the accolades that you've received nationwide, do you believe that these programs have led to a safer Charlotte-Mecklenburg County?
Yes, I do. I think the young lady was talking about recidivism rate, and I don't know the numbers. But I can tell you this: if you look at a newscast by Spectrum News and Jonathan Lowe, the national rate was at 44% at that time. Mecklenburg County was at 29. So when we look back at that, we are doing what we can with what we can to be a better sheriff's office. We have programs that no other sheriff's office has. We have a program called the Next Great 50, where we create men and women to leave our detention center with not job readiness skills, but with an actionable LLC company. We also have the state of North Carolina's only post-release center where we take care of men and women who are released from our detention center daily, and even the ones across the state that can come to our post-release center and receive resources to put them better back in their community to create a safer community. So these are the things that we are doing in Mecklenburg County. Thank you.
Sheriff, just wanted to make sure, you made a comment to my colleague, Representative Sheetselt. You said the last person in the chain of command is often left out. Does that mean you don't know what's going on in your department?
Sir, I'm going to stand on my statement because I think you want to put words in my mouth.
Those were your words, not mine.
Okay, let me please finish respectfully. We all know that things go through chain of command and we don't know at the last minute. Let's be clear. If we want to be honest about that, I should be a part of the chain of command of this assembly when you create a law. Why? Because the law is going to affect me. If we all work together in the state of North Carolina as we say that we do today and want our city and county safe, I should be part of that chain. Not only my chain at the sheriff's office, but part of the chain of making our community safe. So if we are talking about that chain, I'm part of your chain also. Why? Because it affects me. The IRENA law affects me. Immigration affects me. I know that puts people in an awkward place, but we all are part of that chain because we are talking about the great state of North Carolina.
Sheriff McFadden, have you ever found the doors of this building to be locked?
No, sir. But as we can see,
is there a reason that you couldn't come by and share your thoughts with us as we're writing these bills and going through the committee process?
Excuse me, sir. I am going to do that now since you have invited me, and I hope I'm better welcomed than I am today.
You're always welcome, and again, you know, you can be combative and go that way and not your fault and everybody else's fault. I get it. No one's being combative except you, sir. We're going to move on to Representative.
Please let me make a comment, sir. Thank you. I think your first statement...
Point of order, Chair. It has been combative.
Representative Savannah, you're not recognized. Sheriff, you're recognized.
Okay, I think that your first statement, if you read your first statement, it became combative, not on my part. I'm just answering my question the best of I can. It should not be combative. If we're talking...
And it wasn't.
Well, I want to respect you having the conversation first. Your opening statement...
Mr. Chairman, I got an inquiry of the chair.
Yes, sir.
Does the time allotted belong to the member or to the speaker?
The chair is being very gracious at this juncture, and we're going to let the speaker have a few moments to express his concern to the chair. But thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sheriff, you're recognized.
I think the opening statement set the tone in the comments of blunt. And I have not been blunt, I have been direct. And I think that that should be recognized. We all know that it has always been combative between Sheriff Gary McFadden and this body of legislators and politicians. We all know that because it's unusual for a sheriff to be outspoken. It is unusual for a sheriff to take a stance and stand on that stance and do respect the law. This is my 44th year in law enforcement, and I still will respect that oath that I took. All we are asking for is respect also. And I'm willing to come here anytime and speak to you all, and will ask, have I been invited by any of you? Have I been addressed by any of you? Have I received a letter from any of you and said, Sheriff, we are about to make a bill that will directly affect you and your staff. Sheriff, we're going to invite you to talk about a bill that we know that potentially has your name on it because we have said that in the media. So I'm looking for the invitation because the invitation goes both ways. And I respectfully ask for that invitation and would respectfully come here, but it cannot be combative. It just cannot be, because we all say that we're wanting safe and secure cities and counties and states. But is that the way that we are displaying this today? No, I'm not combative. I'm respecting the law. simply by asking me questions knowing that I cannot answer them because of the legal matter, litigation, and all that is present. We know that. We all know that. And having a member of the committee of part of that is not a potential witness, but is a witness to this litigation. It simply should not have been addressed. And so it's not that I'm not answering questions. It's just not the form that you want me to answer them in. We all know that. Let's be honest. It is different. It is different than I am different than most of the other sheriffs. I am the first African-American sheriff in Mecklenburg County. That itself comes with a burden. We were called every name before we got here as black sheriffs, the woke sheriffs, those sheriffs. Compare me with other 99 sheriffs. I'm elected by the county that I'm in. Most of you all, or some of you all, could never be elected in my county, and I could never be elected in your county because your county has a different view than my county. So let's be honest with that. I am the elephant in the room, but I'm the proud elephant in the room, and I will always be the proud elephant in the room and the state. And it is not the great state of Mecklenburg. We are just a county. That is something that has been dubbed. If we can move away from all of that rhetoric, we could be better. But will we? We still want to put us on blast, but I don't think that is what this state needs and certainly does not deserve. Thank you.
Okay, let's address something. You said, in my county, we would never have that, so that shows your lack of knowledge there. The former sheriff was an African-American sheriff who served in the Highway Patrol, very well received and won many re-elections, so there you were wrong there. You also said that most sheriffs aren't outspoken. I find that amusing, because every sheriff I've met is very outspoken. I have a pretty good relationship with 99 sheriffs in this county, as does this General Assembly. I don't see any of them here except you, sir, so that should tell you where the problem lies. No one's being combative. Excuse my directness if you have interpreted that way. We're here to get to a problem. I don't have this problem in other counties. This General Assembly doesn't have that problem in other counties. And, sir, you have been hung with it because we've had to keep coming back because you refused to obey the law that was written. So I would get a little knowledge about my county before you spoke out not knowing. With that said, we're going to move on to Representative Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, I fear when I was leaning forward, you may have missed Representative Cunningham with recognition, so I'll yield my time to her.
Representative Cunningham, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is your current jail under corrective action under the Department of Health and Human Services at this time?
Thank you for the question, Representative Cunningham. We all know that I cannot answer that question because we are back to the same petition that you and others filed, and you will be a witness to that. So we cannot answer that question because it pertains to part of the petition and part of the litigation and simply part of the investigation.
Thank you for those remarks, but that is not part of the petition, sir. I'm referencing, is your jail in compliance with the Department of Health and Human Services at this time?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Now, the next question is, your indication of your statement is that we don't know how to write the law. You have a lobbyist who is Eddie Caldwell that we can confer with and consult when the laws are written. Is that your take on it? Is that we don't know how to write the law?
I never said that you don't know how to write the law. I simply said invite us to help you write the law that pertains to Mecklenburg County and Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office. Eddie Caldwell does not work for Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, and he is not a resident of Mecklenburg County. He represents all 100 sheriffs. But Eddie Caldwell may also need to come to our facility and sit down and talk with us before a bill is written, and so maybe he can bring it back to you all. He does not work for the sheriff's office. He represents us very well, and I respect Mr. Caldwell, but simply going back and forth about this with the jail, Eddie Caldwell does not. He does not speak totally for me and what I do at the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, respectfully.
Follow up.
You're recognized.
Thank you so much. The The last thing that I'm going to bring up is about the music studio inside of the jail. We have a music studio, and I guess they rapping or something in there. And the family member of some of the victims that were murdered were very upset about that. Do you think that's appropriate to have a music studio for people to rap in that are in jail for murder or other felonies?
So let me put the content into better content. Every single one of us in here listens to music. Every single one of us in here take music into our lives. That's part of rehabilitation for us. I have directly spoke with that family member about that person being displayed as someone inside our detention center simply just making music. It is part of her rehabilitation.
All right, you're watching Live Impact News. You were just listening to the NC House Select Committee on Oversight and Reform over some safety concerns with Mecklenburg County leaders. I do want to point out that it is getting pretty heated right now. Sheriff Gary McFadden speaking and calling it combative. So very, very spicy right now. We're going to take a quick break, but keep it right here on WCNC Plus. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We have some exciting news. Women's basketball coming to Charlotte. Very exciting. It's called the Charlotte Crown, and we are now joined by their coach, Tricia Stafford Odom. Tricia, thank you so much for being here. I saw some of your resume, extensive resume. You used to be on WNBA, coach for a couple of teams. So how excited are you for this to start?
Thanks, Megan. I'm very excited. I think words can't really express as we get closer to the tip-off in our inaugural home game. The excitement is definitely building.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so tell me a little bit about, the team. Are you guys still recruiting? I know that, it's very interesting because anyone can really come on this team as long as they're athletes, right? So tell me about that process.
Yeah. Yes, we're definitely still recruiting, and our eyes are open to all types of talent. Obviously, you have to be, well, not obviously, but you have to be completely done with your collegiate eligibility. So right now, our eyes, and we're targeting former WNBA players, players that are aspiring to still play overseas, players that have contracts currently overseas, and collegiate graduates. Once you've completed your eligibility, you're welcome to try to be a part of the Charlotte Crown and Upshot.
Awesome. How important is it, to have a women's team here in Charlotte? I know that the WNBA is also getting very popular now too. So what does it mean for Charlotte to bring this here?
Well, there's no secret there was a professional women's team here before, and the response from the community was amazing. So Upshot's intent is to uplift entire communities. There's so much talent here in the Charlotte area, the Queen City, and all the surrounding parts of North Carolina that we want another opportunity for women to play and be paid, and then be examples for little ones to come. It's very important. We'll have tryouts, we'll have showcases, and we'll be able to weed out who's ready to be a part of Charlotte Crown.
Awesome. And you guys are going to be facing 4 different teams: Jacksonville, Savannah, and Greensboro. I should say 3.
Correct.
We're 4. So really, not too far of traveling, which is great. So this is awesome for everybody who wants to go to away games as well as home games. Home games are going to be played in Bojangles Stadium, which is awesome. It's a great stadium. What are you
Correct.
most excited about coaching for in this team?
I think just to see the collaboration of everyone working together to bring professional women's basketball back to the city, to see how much excitement we can conjure up and how much stability we'll have with our fan base. I think we're probably looking at under 6,000 capacity, 5,000 to 5,500 or something like that. And we'd love to see people fill the stadium, fill the Bojangles Coliseum with support. And I think more than anything, we're wanting to establish platforms that young ladies that are playing and the people all involved with the Charlotte Crown will have opportunities to do whatever they want afterward. It's just a situation where Charlotte Crown is going to provide uplifting opportunities for everybody, not just the players, coaches as well.
That is awesome. Okay. Inaugural season tip-off, May 15th, Bojangles Coliseum. You don't want to miss it. Coach, thank you so much for being here. Yes.
You are very welcome. And I'll say our first home game is May 21st. Tickets are on sale, but May 21st is our inaugural home game.
Okay,
so we
got
want
it.
to see you there.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much, Coach. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Go Crown.
All right. We're going to take a quick break on Live Impact News, but keep it right here on WCNC Plus. Watching live Impact News on WCNC Plus, we've been following this oversight committee over in Raleigh right now because leaders from Mecklenburg County are speaking. We've heard a lot from Sheriff Gary McFadden, becoming very spicy over there. Lots of conversation, lots of back and forth over ICE procedures, over safety in Mecklenburg County. So let's take a listen in.
Referring to?
No, sir, I'm not.
I believe we can get that pulled up. We have a great IT chair in this body, and I think we can get...
He does an outstanding job.
He does a great job. So we have that email now pulled up before you. In this email, I believe it's referenced that the compliance rate with ICE, and this from an editorial from a UNC professor, was 33%. And I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth. I'm just going to read what the quote was. Your counsel said, "That strikes me as way wrong." If that number is way wrong, and this is referring to the numbers ICE detainer requests in 2019, if it's way wrong, is the real number higher than that, lower than that? What does that real number look like?
In the request?
In the ICE compliance rate leading up to that email in 2022.
Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by compliance rate.
Cooperating with ICE.
We've cooperated with ICE. I don't think anybody can say that I have not followed the law. Cooperation and following the law is slightly different. Cooperation to what someone's opinion is, that's cooperation. Following the law.
So you would say the number is higher or lower than 33%?
In what?
As far as cooperating with ICE, in the sense of what we consider legal now. Cooperating with ICE.
Was it legal then? I'm not sure your question. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Well, would you guess now your rate is higher or lower than 33% cooperating with the law?
We've always cooperated in the law. We've always cooperated with ICE under North Carolina General Statute 162.6. So we always cooperated. It is the number that you may be...
Let me specify that. Complied with detainer requests from ICE. Complied with detainer requests from ICE. Would you say that number is higher or lower than 33%? When you were in this email, when he said, because he's clearly saying in this email, 33% is not right and way wrong. So that means way wrong in the low direction or way wrong in the top direction of complying with ICE detainers. Specifically.
He's looking for a number, sir.
I don't have that number. If you're looking for a number, then I don't have that number, because what we're saying is complying with detainers. We accept detainers each and every time. Let me put it in this content. When a person is arrested in Mecklenburg County, no matter what they're arrested for, every single person comes to Mecklenburg County and asks 3 questions pertaining to their citizenship. With 287G, with House Bill 10, without House Bill 10, without 318. Each person is asked 3 questions. Once we find that that person citizenship cannot be verified, what we call query or pin ICE. ICE then has a person to send a detainer over. A detainer is not signed by a judicial or a legal document, in my opinion, because it's not a legal document. We receive it, we acknowledge it, and we file it in our office before 318.
Well,
so
let me reference the number, that 33%. That was from a UNC professor saying that was the amount that they had judged and studied, that it had been complied with these ICE detainers. So here's the issue, and here's the bigger issue, that if that was when it was voluntary, because this was before these laws were put in, we passed them when they were implemented, that was voluntary. Fast forward, so now we're fast forwarding to 2025, and this is from your own office in December of 2025, that out of the 445 detainers that you received that year, ICE had only picked up 72 people. It's about roughly 16%. So I guess the real question is, if your cooperation was higher or lower, we're not sure, we haven't gotten a real answer there, higher or lower, I mean, Are they failing to show up, or are you inflating the numbers? There's only so many ways that can go.
ICE picks up people who they want to pick up. I can't tell them who to pick up. They are at liberty to pick up anyone from the Mecklenburg County Detention Center if they have the legal right and documents to pick them up.
And see, here's where I'm having a hard time, because we just established a little bit ago that Wake County is, what, 65%? 65. And we're talking about 16 here. So what that's telling me is it's not ICE not showing up. It's not a failure on the part of ICE that they're not showing up. That these numbers are simply inflated, or the perception of an inflated number, that it was 33% when it was voluntary, and now it has dropped to 16% based on your office. I mean, these are either, the numbers have either been inflated somewhere in reports to us, or there is an active attempt to not comply with the law. That's what I'm seeing in these numbers.
There is no attempt not to apply with the law. Let me make sure we understand that. That is what we want to believe, or that is the platform that we have done since I've taken office. We have always complied with the law. I can't tell you what ICE is doing or not doing about picking them up. I can tell you this. As of October 17th, having a meeting with ICE in my office for the very first time, face-to-face, because I invited them there, I wrote them a letter and said, look, we simply cannot operate in this manner unsafely in Mecklenburg County any longer. I classified this thing that we had where they fought somebody in a duck pond. ICE agents fighting someone in a duck pond. When I was at the National Sheriff Association a couple of months ago, and the two people lost their lives at the immigration camp in Dallas, I told every sheriff there, we need to go back to our agencies and do whatever we need to do to simply work together to make our cities and counties safe. On October 17th, ICE came to my office. We provided them documentation of the guidelines and procedures that we wish that they would follow so we can have a safe and a better working relationship. I can tell you, since that time, it has been better and the communication has been better. But we're simply looking at this. Back then, it is a different immigration than it is now. They simply may not have the time. I can't answer that. Maybe ICE should have been invited here to answer that question on why they couldn't pick someone up. They are in our custody. They are there. They are notified that they are there. I can't speak to ICE why they didn't or did not pick up someone.
I think there is a fair discrepancy in that number of 65 to 16% with the same amount of detainers put out. That is, that to me is just absolutely unacceptable to be that low. And I'll yield now and may circle back with some follow-ups. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
One comment. Let me say this. We want to compare Wake County to Mecklenburg County. We're two different counties. We're two different populations. Their murder rate may be different than my murder rate. It's different. We cannot say what one person is doing in one county compared to other counties. We are the same, particularly the same size. Are we different? Is the industry different? This is a tech city. Mecklenburg County is a banking city. So when we compare that, Sheriff Rowe is different from Sheriff McFadden. Sheriff McFadden is different from Sheriff Rowe. Although that we are duly elected sheriffs, we operate differently. But simply making it seem like I'm doing something wrong or fudging the numbers is not true. I want to make sure that we understand that. It's not true. And so, although we are similar in size, our crime could be different. Our administrators could be different. Our demographic can be different. We simply can't say because of what Sheriff Rowe is doing. Sheriff Rowe doesn't have a post-release center. Sheriff Rowe doesn't have what we have inside of ours. Sheriff Rowe is not a triple crown.
So Sheriff, I would highly suggest that when we ask this question again going forward about the 33%, we need an exact number. We need a north or south of that. Nod and I have no idea what our compliance rate is.
Well, I thank you. If we complied to every single thing that you asked us to do, even to the last minute. If we saw that there was a discrepancy during that time, I think that someone could research that and present that to me to say, just simply saying it could be fudge numbers or couldn't be fudge numbers. If you had the time to ask for it, simply you could ask somebody to research it with everybody that you have here to research it, to bring the numbers and say, let's find an answer. But simply making it seem like I'm fudging or someone is fudging the number, I would not accept that. And I can't accept that on the back of my county. I cannot accept that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Well, Sheriff, what's not different is 441 to 445. Pretty close in numbers, 65%, 16%. With that being said, what is your detainer number as of today?
I have no idea.
You're the head of the agency, you have no idea what your detainer number is.
If I knew, I can find out for you if you need it.
You were coming to this committee. You didn't think that was a good idea to know?
Sir, I believe it was. I think it's a good idea for me to speak clearly and honestly to you. If you had that number and you should have said, bring me your detainer number, we were receiving requests until 5 o'clock on Saturday. If you said, bring me the detainer number today, we would have that.
Your invitation instructed you to be prepared. I'm moving over now to Representative Purtle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a brief comment and then a series of questions. Thank you for being here today, Sheriff.
Thank you, sir.
As a retired police chief, I've been fortunate enough to get some successful legislation across the finish line that benefits both law enforcement and the people of the state of North Carolina. And in doing so, I've developed relationships with chiefs and sheriffs across the state, come through my office right regular, simply because I'm a former police officer. But each time I do a piece of legislation, usually it's impossible to talk to 100 sheriffs and all the police chiefs. So I have a great relationship with Eddie Caldwell and Fred Baggett with the Chiefs Association and Chuck Spahos with the Conference of District Attorneys. And I rely on them to represent the district attorneys, the sheriffs, and the police departments across the state when I have this conversation. So it kind of catches me a little off guard when I realize that I probably should have worked you into that conversation as well, because it's my understanding that that's exactly what the Sheriff's Association is supposed to do. But my questions deal more with, I want to talk a little bit about the jail. Sheriff McFadden, is it fair to say, or would it be correct to say, that you're the constitutional officer responsible for the safety and welfare of every person in your jail?
Yes, it would be.
That responsibility includes ensuring adequate staffing, proper medical care, and required safety checks. Would that be a true statement?
Yes, it would be.
Sheriff, for the audience here today and those at home watching, do you have any idea how many inmates died in the Mecklenburg County Jail under your predecessor, Sheriff Carmichael, who served from 2014 to 2018?
I don't have that number.
Would it surprise you to know that there was eight deaths in that 4-year period? And before him, Sheriff Bailey had 8 deaths over a 7-year period. So that's a total of 16 deaths in about 11 years. Sheriff, my question for you is, how many people have died in your jail since you took office in 2018?
It would be 21, I believe. 21.
Okay. In a recent interview on television, you talked about, it was confronted with that number. And I think your statement was, you kind of got defensive and you said, did I cause their deaths, or can I prevent those deaths? Sheriff, my question to you is, as the sheriff of Mecklenburg County, with your constitutional responsibilities, can you prevent those deaths?
So let me answer this in this way, and I still will stick with my statement. I cannot talk about these incidents that happen because it is a legal, ongoing, and litigation matter, and I'm going to respect the investigation, and I'm going to respect the litigation.
All right.
But let me say this. People die every day across America. People die in hospitals across America where there are millions of dollars of technology, millions of dollars spent on salaries and education to equip the best doctors sometimes in the world at a facility, and people still die.
Are you saying a hospital and a jail are comparable?
No, sir. No, what I'm saying is they are responsible for the care of that person. People die in the United States every day of prostate cancer, heart attack, congestive heart failure, and several diseases.
Sheriff, we're talking about a jail, controlled environment where people are there for pretrial or post-trial adjudication and sentenced to the jail. I'm asking you, what have you done? Let me ask another question. You can't talk about it. Let me ask another question. What have you done to mitigate policy to ensure that the continued deaths in the jail doesn't occur? I know the state requires a certain amount of wellness checks. What have you done beyond the required state minimum to ensure that these deaths do not continue?
Again, I would ask that this committee respectfully understand that I'm not going to answer any questions or go into any part of questioning as it pertains to this petition, as it pertains to the legalities or litigation that is part of this petition. It would be unfair to the investigation. It would be unfair to the district attorney's office. What I'm simply stating is a general statement. People die. When people come to the facility, they're not adequately receiving health care. People die every day. Simply coming, it is highlighted only because it is the jail, but we commonly refer to it as a detention center. We highlight deaths inside detention centers, but we don't highlight deaths in a hospital or a care facility. Simply coming to a facility of incarceration, including our prisons, people still enter in poor health, in poverty, disease, long-time health care.
You said earlier that your responsibility was to provide proper medical care.
Mr. DA, is this particular line of question have anything to do with the petition itself?
Your Honor, I said, Your Honor. Here's where we are, you know. Let me say this. The sheriff has counsel. He has counsel both within his agency as well as individual counsel president. He is correct that these broadly there are matters that are under investigation by the SBI. It would not be appropriate for me to in any way interfere with the counsel that he has present. So.
Ask another question. I'm not an attorney. We just want to be truthful and get truth. Is jail...
Okay, you were hearing from that committee in the North Carolina General Assembly right now. Like you can hear it getting really, really spicy. Lots of questions being asked to Sheriff Gary McFadden right now, talking about several different things. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to switch over on this stream to our noon show. Nick Sturdivant will be anchoring that. But if you want to continue listening to this, you can. It's going to be in our secondary stream. It will be right in the app. You will see it. So if you do want to keep watching this, you are more than welcome to. But like I said, for us here, we're going to send it on over to our noon show right now. Have a great day.